Hello, everybody, and welcome to Talkin Chalk. I'm Ken Berthelot. Talkin Chalk is the show where sports, faith, and leadership all come together. Today, we're visiting with Rummel Raider Wrestling. Coach Rod Cusachs has worked wonders at Rummel, leading the Raiders to a 2011 state championship, a very proud moment at Rummel High School. In just a moment, we're going to meet the coach and meet the players. All of that when we come back on Talkin Chalk on WHNO TV 20 Sports. Welcome back to Talkin Chalk. In 2007, Coach Rod Cusachs was named as the head coach of Rummel Raider Wrestling. He was charged with building a program, and he did just that. Just 2 years later, in 2009, the Raiders finished as runners-up in the state. In 2011, Cusachs and the Raiders won it all, a state championship, and for his efforts, he was named the All-State Sugar Bowl's High School Coach of the Year. Jude Young talks with Coach Rod Cusachs and finds out how he worked the magic at Rummel.
Coach, there are many facets that go into building a successful program in any sport, and for Rummel, now a defending state champion, before we talk about what you have had to do and the type of athletes that have had to come together to be champions, talk about this great facility that you're in right now. Obviously, USA Wrestling, a big part of the equation to get it built, and what's that meant for the Raider program?
First, Jim Ravenak built this in 2001, 2002. And, he made it so that underprivileged kids can come in and they have a place to wrestle. And as far as Rummel's wrestling program, I mean, to be able to hold 100 kids in a wrestling room comfortably, means a lot to the team. That's our goal, to have at least 100 kids on the team year in, year out. And to be able to accommodate them and not be underneath in a gym with lockers and everything around, banging our heads, means a lot, and the kids really appreciate it.
Talk about your time at the program. Rummel finally winning a first state championship last year with so much competition locally. Brother Martin, Jesuit have been power programs. As of late, St. Paul's growing as a power. Catholic of Baton Rouge, always an issue amongst the big schools. You finally got there. Talk about that long process to get the program where you needed it to be, to compete from top to bottom in the weight classes and win state.
Oh, it started with the coaching staff and our senior leaders last year. They had been with us 4 or 5 years. They stuck with it. They started to believe in what we were telling them in the system that we have going on here. The coaches just constantly staying on the kids, being on them, drilling into them that we can do this. We don't have to take second place to these other teams. And they finally started to believe, and traveling all across the country to wrestle, built a lot of confidence in them. And it was a long, hard, season last year, but it paid off for us in the end.
People, when they think about high school sports, especially locally, they think first and foremost about football and the work that goes into it. People know football, but people really don't necessarily understand what goes into wrestling. And most will tell you that there's no harder working sport year-round in order to be prepared to compete than wrestling. Talk about that, the work that goes in for these young men as student athletes to be able to be successful in the classroom, but still make it happen on the mat.
It's funny, I have football players that come out every year, and they think, I could do this. I play football. I can wrestle. They come out. They try to make it through a practice. And the next day, I see them like, "You come back to wrestling practice today?" "No, coach, it's too hard for me." And it's the football players that stick with it. When they go back to football, football is that much easier for them. And we're a very demanding sport. We stay on top of the kids. In the practice room and in the classroom. I tell them they're students first, athletes second, grades come first. Last year we had Mark Panera go to an Ivy League school in Penn, and this year we have Scott Gibbons verbally committing to Princeton, another Ivy League school. So, we're really stressing the academics as well as athletics here. But, the kids, they push each other. The coaches stay on top of the seniors and the captains and stuff, and it just trickles down through, all the way through the 8th graders.
Now, there's usually 3 levels of support systems in order to make a program work so student athletes are successful. You talk about the administration at the school, the coaching staff, and then the student athletes amongst themselves, the wrestlers on this team, the upperclassmen and their leadership. Talk about how that all comes together here at Rummel.
Oh, well, starting up at the top with the administration, Mr. Scalco is awesome. The whole administration is very supportive of the wrestling team. They see the hard work that we put in, and they pretty much, they help us out in whichever way they can. With them helping us out, it makes our job easier to help the kids out. And they're constantly on us about getting the kids to and from school, make sure that they're doing their work, and as long as they stay on top of us, they don't really need to stay on top of us because we're gonna hold our kids to a higher standard. But we're going to hold them there, and our seniors hold those other kids to a higher standard. If they see somebody missing practice, before I could get to them, a lot of times the senior already got to them and is on their case about why you're missing practice. You got to be at practice, and the importance of practice. So it really trickles down from the top to the bottom.
And the Catholic faith, a big part of life at Archbishop Rummel High School. Talk about how that affects your program, your day-to-day life, and your personal experience being part of the Rummel family.
Well, growing up, I went to public school, and then coming here, I'm a Catholic. I went to private school for elementary, and to come here and see the Catholic faith and the Lasallian tradition and everything going on here really meant a lot to me. And to the kids, we say a prayer every day before practice and after practice, and just to let them know that you're not just this is secondary to the bigger picture. God comes first, and then school, and then wrestling. We kind of prioritize it for them.
Well, back to the mat. Quite simply, do you feel like you can bring this team together, that these guys as a team, because of the importance of scoring points throughout the weight classes, you think they have a shot to be able to repeat as state champions?
Yeah, I strongly believe that we have a shot. We've taken some lumps early in the season. We hadn't had our football team out, our football members out, and that hurt us in some of the dual meets with Holy Cross and St. Paul's early this year. But now we have them out, and I see a new confidence, a new intensity in the kids that wasn't there, before the football team came out, before the football players came out. The younger kids are looking up to those older kids and the football players, and they have a new sense of urgency, and see that they got something lit underneath them, that they have this fire in their eyes now, and so I'm looking forward to this second half of the season.
When we come back, we'll talk to some of the Raider players who made the state title happen right after this on Talkin Chalk on WHNO TV 20 Sports. Welcome back to Talkin Chalk. Two of the players who helped make this Rummel wrestling team very special were Scott Gibbons and Branna Cohen. Gibbons won a state championship at 171 pounds, and Cohen compiled a 40-win, 12-loss record on the way to a state runner-up title at 215 pounds. Jude Young talked with both players.
All right, Scott, we hate to pull you out of practice. You're already warmed up, but we want to let people know about your story and the story of the Archbishop Rummel wrestling program. You are a state champion. What does that mean, to say it, to live knowing I've done something that's special?
It just feels really great to know. I've been doing it since I was 6 years old. It feels really good to just have that accomplishment and be able to see that all that hard work's paid off.
Let's look back at starting at the age of 6 in the sport of wrestling and the Scorpion Club. What's that all about, and what's that meant to you as far as your development as a wrestler?
The Scorpion Club, that's just something I've been doing since it started back at Grace King. Just gives you a great foundation for when you move on to high school. You already know the basics. You're ready to wrestle varsity matches your first year in varsity. You don't have to go through the learning process as much as other kids. And now I'm helping back coaching with the program, and it's just nice to be able to just give back and see the younger kids develop into good wrestlers.
Talk about what that means to you in your life, talking about helping others, not only as a coach in the wrestling realm, but in your life in general, and being part of the community here at Rummel, where it's stressed to really take the time out of your life to be able to help others and be a positive influence.
Well, it's just given me the benefit of being able to feel what giving your time to someone else and seeing them get something out of it. Because I've been on this team for a while, and now I help the younger kids out, and it's just great just being able to see them develop into wrestlers. We had kids that started in Scorpions that are on our varsity team now, and they're state champions too, and it's just awesome to just be able to stay with those same kids and see them progress all the way through high school.
What is this great facility that USA Wrestling helped provide, and locally Jim Ravnick? What has that meant to you to be able to come here every day and know you're in a state-of-the-art facility for the sport?
Well, we're really blessed with that. I've taken college visits, and this place is nicer than most college wrestling rooms, and we just take it for granted, but it's awesome. You get the right amount of mat space you need for practice. Everything you could ask for you have here, so it's just awesome.
Talked about college visits. Now, you are the true definition of a student athlete, a state champion on the athlete side, and a future Ivy Leaguer on the student side.
Yes, I actually verbally committed to Princeton waiting to see if I get accepted. If I do, then that's where I'll definitely be wrestling in college. Looking forward to it.
You rank nationally in wrestling, not just locally, and wrestling in this part of the country doesn't get the credit it deserves on a national level. Part of that not having the college options on the highest level. But talk about being able to prove yourself. You've been to national tournaments. You've scored very high in those tournaments. What's that meant to you and those challenges that you've taken on with some of the very best wrestlers in the country in your weight class?
That's just huge, because when you go to those big tournaments and you compete with the best kids, and when you beat those best kids, when you come back to Louisiana, you just have that confidence that you should be winning every match, and you shouldn't even be having close matches, because you beat those best kids that you see ranked in the magazines. You're coming back to Louisiana, where it's known as not having as many ranked people, and you just expect to win and just have that confidence, that mental game that just helps you out so much.
Finally, let's talk about the 2 repeats. Personally, as an individual wrestler, and the chance for Rummel to do it again. You're part of the first team in school history to win state. Now you can be a repeat champion as an individual and as a teammate.
Well, the team goal is the biggest. I mean, for me, I'm not trying to sound cocky, but I mean, I expect the individual. I just expect that. Anything less just wouldn't be acceptable. For the team, that'd be huge. Coming off last year, being able to just be a part of that after going through Scorpions, where Rummel always got third or second. Second was a good year. Now second would be the worst thing ever for us. We want first and nothing less, and that's what we plan on getting.
Brandon, we want to start with your desire to be able to get over that hump. The program here at Rummel did last year, winning state, and you were a big part of that, finishing second. But the goal to repeat as a team and for you to get that top spot and be a state champion, talk about how that motivates you.
Last year, the team won state, and I got into the finals. So as a team, we raised the bar. And for myself, I raised the bar. And I now know what I need to do, and I know what I have to do to become a state champion.
Now, as a senior, you have to talk about what goes on as far as getting ready for that next step. One more half a year to go before you're ready to go on to college and life and adulthood, young adulthood. Talk about how Rummel and this program in particular, the wrestling program here, has helped you prepare for that next step.
The program, we have the best coaches I think of, and each coach will sit down and show you what you need to do. As a senior, you need to realize it's your last year, and you have to do what you have to do. And I'm going to just try to go as hard as I can every day, technique-wise, conditioning-wise, so I can become the best I can.
It's a difficult thing, isn't it, when you talk about it? It's exciting to be this age and to be at this part of your high school career, but there's the senior year distractions. There's talking about trying to get the job done here on the mat, and certainly still taking care of business in the classroom and living up to the standard at Archbishop Rummel as someone who helps others and follows their faith. Talk about how that all comes together and you don't worry about not being able to prioritize things the right way.
At Rummel, everybody's a student athlete if you are an athlete. So the pressure isn't really that hard because I feel real prepared in the classroom. The teachers help you out as much as you can and they're understanding. And as an athlete, senior year, the most distraction thing for senior year is not thinking like what else is going to happen, but to realize that this is your last thing and there should really be no distraction.
Why wrestling? There are a lot of different sports, and this one doesn't get the glamour spot that it necessarily deserves for the amount of work you put into it. What drew you to be a wrestler?
My oldest brother wrestled, and he, because of a head injury, had to quit his junior year. But I always strove to be as good as him or better, so I kind of got into the sport to kind of prove him.
So a state champion as a teammate, a chance to be a state champion as an individual. Is it safe to say there are no regrets with your choice to commit to Rummel Wrestling?
No regrets at all. I just wish I could have done it earlier in my life because Rummel was the first time I ever got on the mat. I wish I could have done it as a little kid.
Welcome back to Talkin Chalk. Jude Young continues talking with some of the Rummel wrestlers who won a state championship in 2011. They were led by one of the seniors, Josh Schilling, who compiled a 38-18 record, and Matt Calcote, who won a state championship at 103 pounds, compiling 45 wins against just 7 losses all year. And how about Tyler Frame? On his way to being state runner-up at 119 pounds, he was one of the leaders on this Rummel team. Jude Young talks with all 3 players.
All right, Josh, you were part of the first state championship team there at Rummel. You did your part. Now, the champions as individuals sometimes get all the glory. You finished 5th as a junior, an opportunity clearly to do better as a senior. Talk about what it meant to you to do your part, to be part of that winning point total that made history at Archbishop Rummel.
It's a great feeling, you know. I did not win state, but it's great to know that you're helping your team all the way, and to be able to make the points for the team and to help them win that first state championship is just like the greatest thing that has ever happened.
And you've got an opportunity to make some more history here at Rummel. A strong team again for the Raiders this year. A tough schedule to get you guys ready for that ultimate goal to try to win state. Talk about this team this year, and as champions, has that changed the mindset at all? Hopefully for the positive, but was there any of that lethargy that sets in sometimes of we did it, or is it more of a drive to do even something even more special by winning state again?
It's definitely good to win state the first time, but the second time makes it all the more clear that we are the best team in the state, and you know, I'd like to prove to the rest of the state that we are a force to be reckoned with and that we can do it again.
Why wrestling? It's one of those sports that's not a glamour sport. When you get to high school, a lot of people, if they're not involved in the clubs beforehand especially, are learning about wrestling for the very first time. What drew you to this sport and to this program here in particular?
There's a lot of reasons, you know, family-wise. I come from a long line of wrestlers, and you know, the first day I came out, I always liked the physical competition between one guy and another, and it just always attracted me to the sport.
From a wrestling family, what makes wrestlers different? What makes them different in everyday life as far as being students? And you've seen wrestlers in your family grow up and move on to other things professionally. What makes a wrestler different from a person that may play another sport or somebody that's not even an athlete?
The drive and determination to be the best that you can be at everything that you do. Not just wrestling, but everything else that you put your mind to. You want to be the best at it and succeed at it to the best of your ability.
Now you're a senior, and what that means, the next step is ahead of you and about to leave this part of your life behind. Talk about the emotions that become involved when you think about your days ending at Rummel and moving on to those next stages of life like college and beyond.
You definitely want to put all that you have into your senior year, and you don't ever want to forget these things, but you have to leave it all to the practices and the coaches to help you get to where you want to go, and you want to fulfill your goals.
Matt, you're only a junior, but you're already a state champion. Did that surprise you to be able to get all the way to the top as a sophomore?
Well, not really, because I've been wrestling since I was like 4 years old, and so this is what my dad put me in wrestling for at 4 years old, to get up to high school and win state every single year, but I fell short my freshman year, so I did it my sophomore year.
You had to make that personal commitment to continue to go along and be successful and to reach the top of the mountain to be a state champion. Are you glad about your dad's decision to get you in it early? It seems like you've taken to it awfully well.
Well, it's really hard. Once you get to high school, it gets much harder, and it's much more pressure on you, so I'm glad he put me through it, and I'm a state champ now, so hopefully 2 more times too.
Starting from the age of 4 and being part of the Scorpion Club, talk about how much that meant to you as far as your technique, the work ethic, and everything it's taken from that early time to get all the way up to be a state champion on the high school level.
Well, starting whenever I was 4, it really helped me out, and all that technique just kept on getting better and better. You practice it and you get better at the technique, and it just helps on the mat.
And as part of your success, you become part of a very special group at Rummel here to be part of the first state championship team. Tell us about how Coach Cusachs and everybody around the program that are here every day putting in the hard work. Tell us how important that's been to you and what it means to you. And what do you think it's going to mean to you when you look back on it when all this is done here at Rummel?
It's really important. Whenever the coaches are here every single day, busting their butt to help us out, it means a lot to us. Just to know that they're here helping us whenever we need, either after practice or during practice, they'll help us out.
Let's start about talking about wrestling in this great facility here at Rummel. What has it meant to you? You know the other facilities having wrestled in competition. What does it mean to have as good as it gets in wrestling as far as what USA Wrestling's provided here?
I think as a team, as a whole, I think we're very fortunate to have this facility to train in, and it's a very big advantage upon other teams who have to, don't have the facility or have to move and go train in other facilities. And I think we benefit a lot from the facility as a whole.
You put in so much work in the sport of wrestling. Some people don't realize that, who don't follow it closely, but all that work paid off as a team for Rummel last year, being the state champion. As a team, what has that meant to you?
It's meant a tremendous amount. I mean, my ultimate goal was always to win state as an individual and as a team, and I'm still working to win as an individual, but I'm glad to get a team state championship under my belt.
People don't understand when you talk about winning that team title, every wrestler in each weight class has to do as well as they can to accumulate those points to get there. Even though you didn't get to the top of the mountain individually last year, you were a key part of getting Rummel to the top.
Yeah, I agree that everybody on the team counts, no matter if you go 1-2, 2-1, you know, whatever your record is, everybody contributed to the state championship. And I mean, it takes a team to win a state championship, not an individual.
Congratulations, Coach Rod Cusachs and the Rummel wrestling team on your state championship in 2011. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Talkin Chalk. Thanks for watching. I'm Ken Berthelot. Good evening.